is okay. So today, Salesforce Lightning, day 30. So let's see what are we going to learn today. So today's agenda is preview session review. And then we'll talk about the homework client requirement 3, the one which I have given last week. And then we will talk about the Aura handler. What is the Aura handler? How to use the Aura handler? And implement assignment calculator. So we will be implementing one of the calculator, the one which I have given the requirement to implement a calculator. Today we will be doing only the design part. And then we'll talk about lightning carousel and lightning carousel image, conclusion, quiz, homework, and interview questions. Quickly, what did we learn in the last class?
Lightning layout item, class style.
Cascading style sheets.
CSS, lightning layout item, and
Image.
Image.
So today, let's go ahead and see the requirement 3, the one which I gave. Is anybody implemented this one? Okay. So implement lightning component. Yes.
I have implemented, but working is not done. That on changing color of when off or on.
Okay, so let's see that. So implement lightning component, place on activity tab, display button group. So this is the button group. Inside the button group, we have 2 buttons, on brand and off brand. Okay, so right now on is in the variant is a brand and off is variant is a neutral. Okay, so let's go ahead and implement that. So let me log in to the Salesforce, switch to the Lightning. So let's move on to the open the developer console. Okay, so we are going to implement the requirement is on the activity tab. We are going to place a button group, right? So activity tab. So let's go to the Sales Cloud. Sales application. So in the sales application, let's go to the opportunity. On the opportunity, let's open the record. When we open the specific record, okay, so here the activity is here. Now I want the button group to be displayed here, right? So this is on the record level. I wanted to place a component which will show here a button group. Now let's go ahead and create a lightning component. LC underscore. Let's give button group. Submit. Okay. So first of all, if I wanted to place it in the on the record level, what is the interface that I need to use it?
Has a record ID.
As available for pages has record ID.
Available for
record only.
Record home.
So implement equal to
Flexi page.
Flexi page available for record page. Record page.
record
Good
home.
home.
Okay, so now we are going to build the button group. So in order to build the button group, what is the component that I need to use it?
Lightning
column.
button group.
Okay, button group. Within that, we wanted to place two buttons.
Two buttons.
Lightning button.
Lightning button ID.
Button
Interrupting.
label
There is a spelling mistake.
on.
Parent equals to brand.
So for the on button is a brand.
One small note for the flexi for the record page, we need to enter for the flexi page available record home and record ID.
Record ID, for this, we do not need the record ID because the requirement is I don't need the record ID here.
Okay.
So for off, I'm going to use neutral.
Neutral.
Okay, perfect. So this is my component, right? This is what we needed. So let's go ahead and place that.
There is a spelling mistake in flexible. Available.
Like
AVILAB.
Available for record home.
in button group, lightning spelling is there. On button attribute. On button attribute. Lightning.
Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and place it on the record edit page. Custom component record group, button group. So I'm going to place this button group on the record. Okay, so let's click on save. Let's go back. Perfect. Now I can see on button and off button, both are there here. Now what I need is, if I click on the off button, so immediately the color should be changed to this and on should be changed to different neutral. So the color should be switched as soon as I click on off, right? So basically, let me open the paint. So for now, the button on button behavior is I need some flag here. Okay, assume that there is a condition for the on flag. This condition is, let's take a flag is active. So if it is active, that means somebody has clicked on it. If it is a true, then it has to be if it is a true, then it has to be brand. Whatever the brand color is there, it should be converted to the brand color. If it is a false, then it should be neutral. It should be neutral. So this flag is going to play a role whether I should be displayed a button with a variant called brand or with a variant called neutral. So this is if this flag is true. And here if this flag is off. By default, this on button is true, right? So by default, on button is true. Whereas by default, off button is by default, it is a neutral. By default, it is a neutral. If I click on this, it should be converted into the brand. If I uncheck, basically this is the same flag is going to play a role for the both the buttons, on button, off button. Whenever this button is active, then change it. Whenever this off button is active, then change it to the brand. Whenever it is off, change it to neutral. Whenever this flag is off for this button, change it to neutral. So this flag is going to play a role. So the flag which we are going to declare, that is, assume that that is a attribute. So we need an attribute. So this attribute should have to play a role for same attribute should be handling the on button, same attribute should be handling the off button. Right? Same button, because at a time both cannot be brand color, right? Both at a time cannot be brand. If this is a brand, this is a neutral. If this is a brand, this is a neutral. Right? So in that case, I can use a single attribute called is active. Is active, I'll make it this, and whenever it is active, then I'll change it to brand. That means I need a condition here. If is active equal to true, then I need to change the variant color, button variant color. So I need to change button variant color equal to brand. Otherwise, else condition, I'm going to change the brand button variant equal to neutral. So this is my condition. This condition has to be applied for both the buttons. For both the buttons, this condition, same condition works for the both the buttons. For on button as well as the off button. This is whenever we write a JavaScript or whenever we write a Apex, right? This logic we will use it. But I need the same logic on the component. I need a same logic on the component, which is a HTML component. I need same logic on the component. That means here the common is button variant, right? So for both of them, here button variant and here button variant. That means in the HTML component, variant attribute is a key. Variant attribute is a key. So this variant is going to play a role. So variant equal to, how can I make? First of all, let's see if condition. Let's see this if condition. I'm just focusing on the if condition. If is active equal to true, then change it to brand. Now, in the HTML component, if I wanted to call the attribute, how can I call the attribute?
Here values.
V dot
That's
is
a V
active.
dot.
V dot is active is the, that's how I'll call the attribute. Now, if this attribute is true, that means instead of writing the if else, I can write the same, this whatever you can see here, if else condition, which is there in 5 lines, I can write it into the 1 line, where it has if is nothing but question mark, else is nothing but this colon, right? If true is nothing but question mark. So I'll move that question mark here. So if active equal to true, then change the variant equal to brand. Otherwise, else condition. If I need a else condition, add this. If it is else, then change it to neutral. Change it to neutral. Everything I'm adding in the curly brace. So here, which all the things are playing here? The question mark is nothing but if condition. This colon is nothing, basically this is nothing but okay. So this colon is else condition. So if this is a true, if this is a is active equal to true, if this is active equal to true, what will happen? Whatever the after question mark is there, that logic gets executed. Else, if this is a false, what will happen? It will go to the else condition. Then whatever the logic is there in the else condition, that logic gets executed. That logic gets executed. Now, who will be handling this? Who will be changing the is active, true, is active, false? Who will be doing it? On the button click. On the button click. On the button click, I'll be calling the controller. On the button click, I'll be calling the controller. In the controller, I'll be changing the is active equal to true or is active equal to false, whatever it is. Okay, I needed two functions here. One is to activate it, another one is to deactivate it. Because this is for the activating it. One controller in the controller, one function I needed for the activating the, whenever it is active, I need to call this. If it is a inactive, that means if it is a deactive, then I need to change is active equal to false. So based on this controller, whatever the controller is updating this attribute, based on that, the variant color is going to change. The button look is going to change. Now let's see, let's go to the component. So this is the component. Now here I need one attribute to hold the value. So what I'll do is Aura colon attribute name equal to is active. Now type equal to Boolean.
Boolean.
Perfect. Now here what I'll do, I'll change this. Instead of hard coding the brand and neutral, I'll change this. I'll change this to the a condition, if else condition. Now first of all, I need to call the attribute if is active, if v dot is active equal to true, then change to brand, otherwise else condition, else neutral. Here also I'm going to change. So is active. By default, it is a neutral. If it is a false, I'll change it to brand. Perfect. Now this is going to play. So by default, what it will do? By default, what we have, we do not have any default value. So default value, whatever is there right now, let me refresh this. Default value is false, right? Default value is false. Why it is on is in neutral? Because I said here is active equal to true, then only it should be brand, right? So if I say default equal to, if I say true. So if it is a true, then on button should be displayed as a brand, off is a neutral. But right now it is a false. By default, I'm keeping this value as a false. Now on click of this button, it should change the color of the button. So that means I need a event called on click event. On click event. So let's say C.active. C.active, let's say handle active. And another one which I need deactive. Handle deactive. Now I cannot make both of them as a active, right? If it is a active, then this display. If it is a not active, then brand. I change the display here. I did not say if it is active equal to brand, right? So by default, it is a changing the value. Now, whenever it is active, display brand. Whenever it is deactive, display neutral. So let's go ahead and implement the controller. So handle active. And we need another method, another function. We needed two functions here. Another one, handle deactive. Handle deactive. Now here I need to know the component is active. By default, whenever the button is clicked on the active, so I'll change it to component dot set v dot is active, and this is a Boolean value, so true. Here I'll make it as a false. Perfect. So let's go ahead and refresh this. Okay, so if I click on this, the color will be changed. If I click on this, the color will be changed. So what is happening? Let's see. Inspect. Go to source and open this component and this LC button. Now we have a component here, right? So if I click on off, it goes to the deactive. Now what is the is active value here? What is the is active? Whenever it is active, so let's watch this variable. Okay, so whenever it is true, it is displaying the neutral. As soon as I change it to false, immediately this is changing. Now here, when I click on this time it will be false. From the false, I'm changing it to true. It is changing it to true. So one attribute is playing a role of switching the color of button. And in the variant, I have written the if-else condition. In the variant, I have written the if-else condition. So this if-else condition will be if it is a true, then this color. If it is a false, this color. If it is a true, neutral. If it is a false, brand. So that's how I'm changing the color of the button. Any questions on this?
So now can we implement the same if I want to change the label? If I click on the
Yes.
button, I want to change the label. So also, can we implement the same?
Yes. So let's take that as an assignment. Assignment is whenever the color is changed, whenever this brand color is coming, change from on to switched on. If on button variant equal to brand, then change the name from on to switched on. Otherwise, it should be on. And the second one is whenever the off button variant is brand, then change from off to switched off. So this is the assignment. This is the assignment.
No, we need to change the button label, right?
Yes, this is the label name.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's move on. The next one, which we are going to see today, is Aura Handler. In Aura Handler, there are different handlers we have. Today, the one which we are going to focus is on load of the component. That means whenever we are loading this component, if I refresh, so whenever this loading is happening, during the loading, I want a certain logic should be executed. I want certain logic should be executed on load of the component. Now, how to implement it? Let's go ahead and see. So Aura Handler is used to handle the events. There are different events are there. So Aura Handler handles the different events. So it handles the standard events. It handles the custom events. Aura Handler is used for the standard events as well as the custom events. Standard events are nothing but by default, it will automatically fire when the app or component is initialized. If you specify Aura Handler standard event, that means this particular logic which is there in the handler will be automatically fired. There is no events are usually the events will be fired whenever you click on a button or whenever you are changing the value, right? If user is performing some action based on that event, the logic gets executed. But these standard events are, there is no user input is not required. User input not required. Whenever the component or the application are refreshed or whenever it is loading it or whenever it is initializing it, automatically the events will fire. Automatically the events will fire. So in order to declare the Aura Handler, so we have to use Aura :handler. and it is a self-closed. It is self-closed. Within this, we have three attributes. Aura handler has three attributes for the standard events. The first one is a name. The first one is a name attribute. Name attribute. So name attribute is going to tell what type of a event is it happening. Init is nothing but initialized. Name you have to mention only init. You cannot mention any other value. If you mention any other value, the standard event, whatever the automatically firing is there, it will not work. So name equal to init. By default, it has to be init. You cannot change the value of name. And the second variable, second attribute is curly braces exclamation this. Value equal to curly braces exclamation this. This is nothing but this component. This component. So but this is you cannot change the value of this. You cannot change the name of this for the standard event. You cannot change the value of this. It has to be always curly braces exclamation this. So first attribute is name equal to init. Second attribute equal to value equal to curly braces exclamation this. And the third one is action. First one, name, value, and the third one is action. Action is which controller you are calling. Which controller function you are calling. You can give any name here. But by default for the standard events, we will give the do init. We will give do init, but you can give any. This is basically controller function name. Controller function name. So by default, Aura handler should be having the name, value, action. Name is always init. Value is always curly braces exclamation this. Action is you can change this value to anything. Whatever your function name is there, you can change it. So let's go ahead and see one example. So let's go to the developer console. So I'll take the same component here. Okay. So this is Aura attribute declaration on top. This is Aura attribute and this is button group declaration. Now I'm going to declare Aura handler here. Aura handler. Aura handler is always has to be after the Aura attribute. If you do not have a Aura attribute, then if you are using the handlers are always on top of whatever your main logic is there. You cannot include the Aura handler within the main logic. For example, you have a lightning card. You have a lightning card. So if you have a lightning card, you cannot write the Aura handler within the lightning card. You cannot write within the Aura handler. So Aura handler part is separate. Whatever your main logic is there, before the main logic, we will be writing the Aura handler. You cannot include the Aura handler within the lightning card or within the button group or at the end of the component. No, it might work, but that is not the right way to do it. So it has to be always after the attribute declaration, we have to mention the Aura handler. So Aura : handler. Within this handler, we have three attributes. Name equal to init. Value equal to curly braces exclamation this. And action, you can give any action, the one which you are going to implement in the controller. So for now, I'm going to use c.doInit. Aura handler init, whenever in the real time, if you have a multiple Aura handlers here, okay, there is multiple Aura handlers are there. So if you have a multiple Aura handlers, just look at the name. Is there any handler says init? That means if it is a init, that means on initialization of the component, this logic gets executed. That means before any of this data gets executed, first it will go to the do init and get all the information, then it will load the component. So before loading the component, this logic gets executed. Now, do init. So I'll take this, I'll go to the controller. So I'll say do init function component comma event comma helper. Okay. Do I need to write a do init always first? Can I write after this? It is better write it in the top, because whenever the component loading, this is the on initialization of the component. Whenever the component is loading, that time it will be executed this do init. So always write the do init on top. Now here I'll say alert, or let me do one thing. So in order to make us understand, okay, let me do alert first. Alert the button group component is loading. Now let's refresh this. See, before loading the component, whatever the do init function is there, it gets executed. That means before loading the component itself, if you wanted to execute any logic, or if you wanted to do you wanted to get the record from the Salesforce, what we can do is before loading the component, we will get the data and store it into the Lightning component. So in another way, what you can do is, let's take one more attribute here, Aura colon attribute. I'll take one of the attribute called display name, type equal to string. So by default, I'll mention some value here. Default, I'll say here, this is a string. I'll just say hello world. Perfect. Now I'm going to print this. I'm going to print this after the button group. V dot display. Now, what I'll do is whenever this component is loading, I'll be changing the value of that particular attribute. That means I will say here component dot set v dot display name, comma, I'll say welcome to Lightning Aura component. Now what will happen? Will it display the default value on the component, or will it display this text? Which text will it be displayed? Display name. Does it display hello world, or does it display the welcome to Lightning Aura component?
Welcome to Aura component.
Welcome to Aura component. Okay, just make you to understand. What I'll do is I'll print here console.log. Okay. In the Lightning component, if you want to print a certain attribute value, we use console.log. It's similar like a system.debug in the Apex. So console log, what I'll say here is display name before changing. I'll give here b dot component dot get v dot the name. Now this is the before change. Now similarly, I'll print this after the change so that you will see the difference. Perfect. So let's go ahead and refresh. Okay, so it is printing. Where is it? Component, button group, icon, okay. So first, before changing, what was the value? Value is hello world. After changing, it is a welcome to Lightning component. After changing, it is welcome to Lightning Aura component. So I'll show you again. Let me refresh. Okay. Now here, what is the value of this? Right now, I have a value called hello world. Right now, I have a value called hello world. So I'll go to the next line. In the next line, we are setting up the display name to the welcome to Lightning Aura component. Now the console log, it print the hello world. Now I'm in the place, I'm in the line where it is changing the value. So let's go on. Now what is the value of this v.display? Select this, welcome to Lightning Aura component. So if I click on next, immediately here is the display name before the change, hello world, display name after the change, welcome to Lightning Aura component. So click on run. So it has overwritten the value, whatever the hello world is there. What are the latest value that is there in the init handler, that the logic gets changed. That means whatever we write in the init handler, it will be always executed on load of the component. Whenever we are initializing the component, on load of the component, if you wanted to execute certain logic, then what we have to do is that logic we have to use call here in the doing it, or we have to do it in the doing it. Clear? Any questions on the Aura handler? This is the custom, this is the standard event. Standard events are always init, initialization, initializing the component. Any questions on this? Okay. So let's move on. Okay, implement assignment calculator. How many of you done this assignment? Whatever the calculator is there, how many of you done? I know one member has done, 2 members, but apart from that, anybody? Okay. Did anybody try implementing at least UI? Did anybody try implementing UI? Calculator. Yes or no?
I have tried only GUI, UI.
Okay, it worked.
Only UI I have tried.
Okay. So let's do that today in the class. So what I'm doing here is we have a calculator. This is a calculator, right? So let's divide this calculator. This is a table. Basically, this is a table, right? In the table, I have this is one row, and this is another row, second row, and this is third row, and this is fourth row, and this is fifth, sixth. So that means I have a table. In the table, I have 6 rows. 6 rows are there. Now, if you observe the inside the rows, again, I have each cell, 1, 2, 3, 4 cells are there. Okay, 4 cells are there. Within this each row, 4 cells. Here 4 cells, here 4 cells, here 4, here 3, but the 1 is occupied 2. So it is a 4. So within the 6 rows, we have 4 cells. And on top there is a 1 row. So out of 5, that means out of 6, 5 is having a 4 cells and 1 is having just 1 row, only 1 cell is there. Okay. Now, I'm not going into the Lightning Salesforce right now. In general, using the HTML. If you want to implement a table, how will you implement? Using the HTML.
TH tag under the table rows value.
So we have a table tag. In HTML, we have a table tag. Within this, we have a row, TR. Right? So TR open, TR close. So like this, we have 6 rows is needed. We need 6 rows. Okay, 6 rows. And again, each row inside this, I need 4 cells. I need 4 cells. So cell is nothing but which tag we have to use for the cell?
TD.
TD. So TD, I need 4. Okay. So using this, I'll be implementing this calculator UI window. Using this table TRTD, I'll be implementing. Now within this TD, each one of them are a button, right? Because I need to click on this. Whenever I click on this button, it should be updated here. So these all are buttons. In the each cell, I have a button. So that means within this TD, I'll be using the lightning colon button. So let's go ahead and implement it.
Ma'am, what about this lightning layout? Can we implement like that? It is also displaying as a rows, right?
Lightning layout.
Yes, lightning layout item with that. Can we implement like that?
I will show you. How you will divide the 12. If you divide the 12, so this is the 12 row. Okay. So if you divide this 12 row into the you divide this 12 row. So this is how you have. And then you have cells here. Okay. So when you define like this, okay, there is a lot of difference the way you use the table. Let me show you that. So let's go ahead and implement LC underscore calculator. Let's write custom calculator. Click on submit. Now. So what I'm going to use, first I'm going to implement a lightning layout. Okay, so definitely we need a multiple rows. Equal to true. Okay. Now within this lightning layout, I will be using the lightning layout item. Because if I implement this calculator, okay, if I implement this calculator, what will happen? It will start from this side, right? Okay, let me not use the layout. I'll use the layout later. Now let's go ahead and implement the table. So inside the table, I need rows, tr. So I need a 6 rows. Okay. Now within this row, I need a cell. How many cells we need? 3 cells. Okay. Three cells I needed. Okay. Now within this cell, I need to place a button. So what I'll do is I'll implement from the bottom. So bottom we need 4 buttons. 0, 0, 0 dot equal to. 0, 0, 0 dot equal to. So I'll implement the bottom one first. So within the TD, I'll use the lightning colon button label equal to 0. This is the first one. Okay, then after that I have a 0, 0. And then I have dot. And I need another one which is equal to. Perfect, this is the 4 cells. Now after that, the next line, 1, 2, 3 plus. So what I'll do, I'll use 1, 2, 3, and this is plus. And the next one, 4, 5, 6 minus. Four, 5, 6 minus, and then we have a 7, 8, 9 star. Seven, 8, 9, and then star. Then after that, I have a clear percentage slash. Okay, how to occupy these two cells, let's see later. But right now, it has a only 3 clear percentage slash. Use 3. So the first one is a clear. Percentage. And then slash. Then after that, I have a row called, just one row is there. In that row, it's just displaying some value. It is just a row, right? So what I'll do is, I'll just take it. Right now, I'll just display the 0. Now let's see. Okay, so file, new Lightning application. Let's use the existing one. Star.app. C.lightning component. Let's save it. Click on preview. So how it is displaying? It is displaying 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. Right? So this is similar like a layout item. Like one is divided into 1 piece is here, 1 piece is here, 1 piece is, but I do not want like this. I do not want like this. I want to implement in a similar like how the calculator looks. But right now, each button is lot of gap between the each one. Lot of the gap between the each one of them. So what I'll do is, first I'll move that everything into the one side. I'll move everything into the one side. So before that, let me add into the lightning card. If I add a lightning card, will there be any difference? Let's refresh. It added the card, but still there is a lot of gap between the each button. So what I'll do is better, I'll use div. Let's see if the div is going to make any changes. Div is nothing but a container. I'm adding the container. Container, is it applying anything? Still nothing is there. Still nothing. Now, what I'll do is I'll apply lightning layout. Now 12 size, I divide into the, I just wanted to display here till this point. I just wanted to display only this part. Right, so I'll add the lightning layout, lightning colon layout. Now, definitely I need a multiple rows. Multiple rows equal to true. Multiple rows equal to true. Now, within this layout, I need a layout item. lightning colon layout item. What I'll do is I'll take a size as a 4. I'll take a size as 4. Control X, lightning layout item, Control A, Shift Tab, so that the format will happen. Oh, perfect. Let's save this. Now everything should be coming to the one section. Okay, still I can see there is a lot of gap between each one of them. There is a lot of gap between each one of them. Now that's okay. Now let me bring this. So I have another attribute in the lightning layout called vertical align. Right? If I add a vertical align equal to center. Let's see. Refresh. Perfect. So now this is the time that I need to apply a style. This is the time that I need to apply style. Because
Sorry, like, what is that vertical align? What did it had done here?
yesterday we have discussed it will place everything into the center. In this component, we do not have anything called a center. Yesterday we discussed this vertical align to place image into the center.
Yes.
So the last option is I have is style. So using the style, I need to apply everything. Now what I'll do is, first of all, let's go to the custom component. Now I have a div. So styling will apply, but just check what is happening here. Now clear is there. And then we have all the buttons, but only thing I need is I want the 0 to be in the calculator. The 0 should be this side. Whatever I'm entering the number, it should start from the right side. It should start from the right side, but 0, it is starting from left side. So first thing I need to change is position of whatever we have, right? Now what I'll do is let's go to the developer console. So this 0, instead of declaring it 0, what I'll do is I'll declare it as an attribute. Aura colon attribute. And let's take a name equal to result. You can take any name. Result type equal to. So what type of attribute? So this value 0, I can enter 2, which is an integer. I can enter 2.5, which is a decimal, right? Floating. So it should handle the integer. It should handle the decimal. So better I'll give the decimal. And then default, I'll place here default equal to 0. Now I'm going to use this attribute instead of specifying here 0. So what I'll do is I'll use v dot result. V dot result. Now it should be displayed as it is. Okay. So now next thing is that what are the second row is there? This clear should be occupied 2 cells. And this slash should come above the star. So first I need to align that. So let's go ahead and align. So this clear, right? Clear has to be in whatever the 2 buttons are there, that much space it should be occupied. So in HTML, we have a attribute called call span equal to 2. And here the result, I need the entire, whatever the calculator length is there, the entire length should be there. So what I'll give here, call span equal to 5. Okay, no changes as done. So let me use this class equal to card style. Now in the card style. So this div is containing the entire table. The entire table sits inside the div. Now I want the styling should be applied for the entire table. So div is the child inner component or is it an outer component, outer element?
Inner component.
Inner. So I need to use space. Space, let's say card style. Then I wanted to move everything to the float equal to right. Okay. Now there is a change there. Okay. And the first thing that I need is border. Okay, let me apply the border for this calculator. Border for this calculator. Inspect. Right click inspect. And this is the table. So what I'll do is I'll apply the border. Border equal to, I'll take something. Yeah, this one I'll take it. Border equal to group. So let's go and apply. I'm applying the border. Perfect. Let's go ahead. Okay. Now I need another border to differentiate this one. Whatever the result is there on top. I need another border here. I need another border and this 0 should come this side. So in calculator, whenever we click on this, the number starts from here, right to left. So what I'll do is I'll add the border here. This is the first row. So let's go to the developer component. This is my first row. So in the first row, I'll add another class. That means a style, I'm going to apply it. So here I'll use the another class. Class equals to, let's say, TD style. TD style. Now this TD. Now the TD is inner element or outer element?
Inner element.
Inner. So that means how do I need to write?
Space
Here.
will add this dot, space dot.
Space dot, then I have to use. Now I need a border to this. So that means this is the first row. So for this first row, what I'll do is I'll apply the border. Border. So I'll use this double and I need the text to be coming into the right side. So that means text align.
Right.
Right. Okay, it came into the right and then I'll text align equal to right. And also I'll increase the font size. Let's take a 20 pixel. Okay, perfect. So what I'll do, I'll take this styling. I'll go ahead and apply this styling into my class. Perfect. So let's refresh. Okay. Now it is somewhere it came as a similar to the calculator. But do you see here there is a gap? So do you see here there is a gap between the each? So there is a gap between here and a gap between here. And there is a gap between here. This is something weird. And there is a gap between here as well, right? So let's take out that gap. So how to do that? So right click on this. Basically the bottom one, whichever you see the bottom one, 0, 0 length is, width is greater than the above one, because all these are 1 digit. So in the button, what are the value you have given here? 1 digit occupies this, but 0, 0 is 2 digit we have. So it is taking the width little bit extended. So what I'll do is I'll inspect now this one. So I'll say width equal to okay, it is extended. See, it is extended. So I'll take this width, I'll apply for all the buttons, right? Each and every button I need this, right? So now the question here, now if I wanted to apply this style for the each button, so how do I need to do it? Do I need to go to the every button that has a single digit, right? Wherever the second button is there, or wherever the spaces are there. Now, this is also has a space, this has a space, this has a space, right? Everywhere we have a spaces. Now, do I need to write a each button level class equal to, right? Class equal to PT1 style, class equal to button 2, class equal to button 3, class equal to button 4. If I write like this, how many classes do I need to write it here? I need to write almost more than 10 CSS style. That means I'm repeating same thing. Basically, I'm applying this word for multiple buttons, right? So if I write here class, that means I'll go ahead and I'll put the style here. I'll say dot this, right? So I'll say here dot button 1, button 1 style, and then I'll write it here. Now like this, I need to write it for the more than 10 buttons. Only this line I need to write for the more than 10 buttons. But do I really need this? Instead of writing like this, instead of writing the multiple CSS, repeating your code, instead of repeating the style, what you can do is, we have the common is button. The common for everybody, we have a common is button. Basically, all the buttons, I want a single style. Wherever the button in this component it has, I need a single style. So in that case, what I'll do is, what Salesforce is doing, it is converting into the button HTML, right? It is converting into the button HTML. So in the style, what I'll do is, instead of using the custom CSS, custom styling, right? Instead of using the style, so I'll just put the button here. I'll just place the button. That means I want a style. What are the button inside inside this button CSS? Whatever the styling is applied, I wanted to apply for all the buttons. Wherever the buttons are there, I wanted to apply. So what will happen if I refresh? the single line of CSS will be applied to the all the buttons. Now you see here, everything is covered, right? All the button CSS are covered. All the button spaces are gone. All the button spaces and small buttons, everything came into equal length.
Ma'am, we can give like the class name as same for every button, and with for that class, I mean for that we can give a CSS, right? I mean it's an alternative option I'm asking.
You can do that, but instead of writing a multiple classes here, what you can do is you can use the HTML or whatever the Salesforce is converting here. So Salesforce is converting this button, right? So this button has some standard CSS are there. It has a standard CSS. So if you want to override this CSS, what you can do is you can put the same. Right now, this CSS has been overwritten. What are the button CSS are there? It has been overwritten. So if you wanted to override the standard tag, then you can use directly here this. You need not to put dot here. If you wanted to override the standard styling, you need not to put dot. Just use the whatever the tag name is there, just use the tag name. And then within that, you can write it. And if you wanted to use a class, you can use it. That's not an issue. But in the real time, the developers, what they will do is, instead of writing the custom one, so they will take the tag name, they will put a tag name here, and they will override the standard button stylings. What are the button stylings are there? It will override. So that means it will make what are the buttons are there, everybody will be applied to the same style. Everybody will be applied to same style. Now, for example, now I wanted to change this color for all the buttons. I wanted to change. Let's go ahead and apply the background image. I wanted to apply some background image. That means all the button, it should be displayed with the background image. What are the buttons are there? I can display it. So for the background image, you can use a CSS. We have a different levels like a URL. You can apply a URL, certain URL. So it will display this kind of a image, or you can go with, if you want anything red, yellow, green, multiple colors, or if you want to go with a different kind of these buttons, or if you want to apply image which has this, right? So you can take anything. So let's go ahead and take this. Let's use this background image. Copy. So let's take this copy. Background image. So I'll put it into the button. Let's click on save and refresh. Okay, if you feel that this is something not good, if you wanted to change this button, inspect, we have applied it for the button. So where is the background image? Okay, here is the background image. So in case if you wanted to change, for example, you wanted to go with. Let's take this and let's take this white. Let's take this. Okay, so let's take this And let me apply this on the CSS. Perfect. So let's refresh. Now our UI is almost done, right? How much CSS we have implemented? Only three styles we have applied. One is on the card level, because buttons are showing there is a lot of space between each button. So that's the reason we have used the float and border, and then TD style. TD style is applied for wherever the result is showing. Wherever I have a result, for this result, I have applied some style. And for each button, in order to make everybody is maintaining the same width, same height, so I have used the width and also I have applied the color. So only three things I have used it. And in the component level, I just used the lightning card layout item, because I just wanted to display in some page instead of displaying this side or this side, this side. So what I have done, I just displayed into the size 4. Now in the div level, applied some style so that everything can move into the right. That's all. Now the next logic is, if I click on 0, or if I click on 2, or if I click on 5, or if I click on 4, so the numbers has to be displayed here. The numbers has to be displayed. That means if I type 2 and 3, it should display here 23, right? If I type 2, 3, 5, 6, it should display all the previous number, the current number, all the previous numbers and the current number, right? If I type here 2, that means it should display here 2. Now, if I type here 3, it should not remove the 2 and display 3. No, this should not happen. What it should happen, it should display all the previous values and then 3. Then we have operators. This operator, I'll come to the point later. But right now, if I'm not entering any operator, okay, I'm just entering the number. When I keep on entering the numbers keep on add into the previous one. It should add to the previous one. How much ever number I enter, it should not remove the previous one. It should show the previous one and whatever the next numbers are there. Now, whether I click on this button, all the buttons should be performing, all the numeric number buttons should be performing same logic. All the number should be performing same logic. Whether I click 1, whether I click 2, whether I click 3, all the buttons between the 1 to 9, the button should be performing same. So what I'll do is, here for all the button, I'll use only one controller. To handle any of this. For each button, I'll use only one controller to handle each one of them. Whether I click on 1, whether I click on 2, or whether I click on 3. But how the controller will know that whether the user has clicked on 1, whether the user has clicked on 2, 3, how the controller will come to know? I'm not using any attributes here.
Aura ID.
So we are going to declare a Aura ID for each button. I'm going to declare a Aura ID. So using this Aura ID, controller is going to identify which button is clicked by user. So now let's go ahead and see. Let's go to the developer console. Now, first of all, I'll declare the Aura ID for everybody. So here, let's do it for all the ones. Aura :ID. So let's say here I'm equal to, so I'll use equal to, or let's say equal to.
EQ.
I'm using the EQ, and then we'll add everybody here. I'll say dt. And here I'll add the same number 0, 0. And here I'll add 0. Basically, it will take it as a, this is sum, and this is 3. And then I'm going to use to Aura ID 1. And this is subtraction, Aura ID 6, Aura ID 5, Aura ID 4. Now next one is multiplication, ML, Aura ID 9, Aura ID 8, Aura ID 7. Okay, so this I'll see that later. So for now, all the buttons 1 to 9 is done. Now for each one from 1 to till 9, I'm going to use the same handler, same function. So on click equal to, I'll say curly braces, exclamation, handle numbers.
C dot.
Yeah, C dot handle numbers. And then I'll use for the 6 and I use it for the 3. For all the numbers, I'm going to use same. Okay, done. Let's go for 0, 0, 0. Decimal also, I need it. If I enter decimal 2.5, in that case, I need this. Okay, dot 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everybody is using the same controller function. Now, let's go to the controller. Let me change the handle numbers. Perfect. Now, the first thing is that I need to identify the component, which component is clicked by the user. How can we identify the which button is clicked?
Event.
Event.
Event
Event dot
Get source,
get source.
source.
And
get
then
local ID,
Dot
get
get local.
local ID.
local ID. So using this, we will know that what is the user is using it. I'm going to use the const here. You can use the var also, that should be fine. So here the button, whatever the button is clicked, from the button, I need to identify the component. So this is number component. Now from this component, I need to get the value. I need to get the value of whatever the button is clicked. If the one button is clicked, then I need the value. So where is the value that is storing here? We have a label name. So, right, if I have a value here, in case if you have a value, you can get the value. But in this case, we do not have any value. On the button level, I need to know which button is clicked. The button 7 is clicked, or button 8 is clicked, or button 9 is clicked. I need to know the label number. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll use the so from the component dot find, then I'm going to use what are the number component is there from that. Now I'm going to find the component using that. Then we will find the
Get value.
v dot label. because we wanted to know the label. Now this I'm going to store it into the one value. So this is button name, or let's say button label. Perfect. Now I'm going to get the button. Whichever the button is clicked, I'll know here.
Ma'am, if you want to store the value, we can give v dot value.
Store the value here, you have to use the set.
Okay.
Set v dot value, comma, you need to give the value there.
Okay.
Okay, now here is the thing. Now we have got the, what is the button is clicked, we are able to identify now using the get local ID and label name. Now, whenever I click on this, I need to know whether is there any number here before. Is there any number here before? 0 means you can replace it. If there is any number here, for example, first number I entered 3. Now it came 3. Now next number I am entering 1. So when I enter 1, I need to know in this, whatever in this result is there any value already there? Is there any number which is already present? I need to know that. So what I'm going to do is, in order to store the current value, what are the current value is there, current number is there, I'm going to store that into one attribute. I'm going to store that into one attribute. So the attribute could be integer, could be a decimal, or I can simply take it here string, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to first number is entered here 3, and the next number is entered 1, next number is 2, next number is 3. So it is basically I'm concatenating it. I'm doing the concatenation. It's not an addition, it is a concatenation. What I'm doing, I'm adding the previous value to the new value. What are the previous value is there, from that to the new value. So basically I'm doing the concatenation. So first I need to store this value into one string attribute. I have to store this value. What are the previous value is there? I wanted to store it into one attribute, because whenever I click on any operator, this is going to change, right? Or if I'm clicking on the 6 again, what should happen? It should not remove this previous value and add here 6. No, it should not do that, right? It should be adding the previous value to the new value. So in order to concatenate, I'm going to use the string attribute. In order to concatenate that, I'm going to use string attribute. So what I'll do is, let's go to the developer console. Now let's take the another attribute called string. So default, there is nothing. So what I'll use is current number. I'm going to use current number. Let's say, now I'm going to use this current number. Okay, so the first thing, whenever I land onto the handle number, the first thing is that I need to find out, is there any one existing number is there? So existing number. How can you find the existing number? We are going to store that into the one variable called, let's take existing number equal to, I'm going to get the component dot
get
v dot
v dot
current number. Now first time I'll not have anything. Now next thing, what I'm going to do here, the condition I'm going to apply. If else condition, if do this, else do this. If condition, if I have a existing value, do this. Else, if I do not have a existing value, so what I want is, I wanted to store whatever this label name is there, right? This label name, I wanted to store it into the current number. I wanted to store it into the current number, because next time when I come, the current number should be having the value, right? So what I'll do, I'll take the else condition if I do not have any existing number. Okay, if there is no existing number, then go ahead and set my component dot set v dot, what are the current number is there. Take the current number, set the current number, comma, what I'm going to set, what are the number, the button is clicked on it. So I'm going to take that button label. So this is first time it happens. First time it will be 0. First time when I come here, it will be 0 because here I have not entered any number. So right now I clicked on a button called 5. Now it will come here. It will identify the component. I'll get the button label as a 5. Then I'm going to see, is there any existing number before 5? So there is nothing. If which was a 0, there is nothing. If it is a nothing, then go to the else condition. Don't go to the if condition. In the else condition, set my whatever the label name is there, 5, to the current number. Set this to the current number. Now again, another number I'm clicking on here. I'll click on 8. I'll click on 8 number. So when I click on a 8 number, okay, we have identified what is the button is clicked, which is a 8. Now the next line, is there any existing number is there? Yes, before it was a 5. So existing number is 5. Now you have a before 5, that means there is a already existing number is there. So that means we need to concatenate 5 and along with that I need to concatenate 8. Right? So in that case, what I need to do here, if else condition is satisfied, then I'm going to put component dot set v dot current number. V dot current number. V dot current number, comma, whatever the
Existing number plus
yes, whatever the existing number plus
button.
Button label.
button label. So what will happen here? I'll get the value called 58. So my current number is 58. Next time if I enter and if I click on the button called 6, so what will happen? It will come here. We will be able to identify current number. Before it was a 58. Now I need to add 6 to this. So is there any existing number? Yes, before it was a 58. So just concatenate the 58 to the 6. So the total will be 6. Clear? Any questions here? So let's see the output: handle, number, button label, existing number, condition, if else. Okay, fine. Nothing much. Okay.
In if condition, do we need to specify the condition if existing number equal to 0 initially? In the if condition.
In the if condition,
Do we need to specify the condition like if existing number equal to 0?
no need. Because if it is existing number is 0 means it will not take. So JavaScript 0 is nothing but it will not take the value.
Okay.
So here we are setting the current number, okay? But the 0 is displayed here, which is a result. That means I need to store whatever the final output is there. I need to store that final output into the result. So component dot set v dot result, comma, component dot get v dot current number. Final, whatever the outcome of this is there, I'm setting into the result. Final value to result. Because right now the attribute here 0 is displayed what? 0 is displaying from the here result, right? So let's save. Let's see how it is going to work. Let's refresh. 2, yes, 5, 4, 7, 8, 9, 0, 2, right? So previous numbers, all the previous numbers are coming. Whatever the number you enter, all the previous numbers are, it is taking. All the previous number, along with that, the current number it is taking. So now the number is perfect. Now the number is, it is taking. Now I am able to enter. If I click on clear, it should be clear, right? If I click on this clear, it should clear. So for clear, I need to add logic. Where is the clear? Okay. Here I need to add a logic. So whenever I click on a clear, it should be clearing all the values, right? So let's take this on click equal to curly braces C dot handle clear. Handle clear. Now handle clear should be clearing it. This also need to have a Aura ID. Let's say clear. Okay, handle clear. Let's copy controller. Handle clear. Going to take this function. Okay. So how are we going to implement the clear? I think we have already discussed that, right? We have already discussed the clear. How are we going to clear it?
Component or find.
Component dot set.
Component dot find. But here I
Dot
have
set.
only one label clear. One label called clear. Only one label is there clear. That means this clear is calling it from the, when I click on this button, there is no multiple buttons here. Basically,
Component dot set.
yeah. So I do not need to use the component dot find because this method is not calling, this function is nobody else is calling. This is just a clear button is calling. Only one button is called. So what I'll do simply, I'll simply use component dot set. V dot result equal comma 0.
Comma we have to use for
And comma above the hand clear.
Okay. So only one thing, because if I have a multiple clear buttons here, for example, if I have a multiple clear buttons, that time I need to find out which button is clicked. That time I need a Aura ID. But here only one component is calling, one button is calling that particular function. So I do not need to use the component dot find. Now I'm clearing the here, right? I'm clear. When I click on it, this value goes to the 0. But does my previous, whatever the current number is there, will it be 0? Let's see. I'm just setting the result. Let me save this component. Let's refresh. Enter the number, some number here. Clear 0 and see. Clear Before it was 145265. Clear, I'll enter 5. What is happening now? My previous values are still holding. And just result is a 0. My previous values are still holding it. I do not want my previous values to be holding it. So what I'll do, whatever my previous values are there, everything I'll change it to null. Everything I'll change it to null or 0. Let's refresh. Now 5, 4, 7, 8, clear. 1, 2, 3. Yes, it is clearing out. 1, 2, 5, 1, 4, clear. 5, 2, clear. It is clearing it, right? Now the logic that we have implemented for clear and then for numbers, right? This is the logic has been implemented. Now we need to understand the logic for operators. What are the operators we have? Right, these operators we need to understand. What are the operators? Division, multiplication, right? Percentage, minus, plus, equal to. We need to understand. Now here this is a bit tricky logic. So why it is a tricky logic here? Because what are my previous value is there. My previous value data should be there. For example, my previous value is 1, 2, 3. Now I clicked on the operator called plus, okay, or multiplication. I clicked on the operator called multiplication. Then when I click on the multiplication, it should come here 1, 2, 3 multiplication. Then after that, it should take 3, 4, 5. It should not concatenate with this. Right now what is happening, what are the numbers are you are entering it is concatenating with the 1, 2, 3. Now it should not concatenate with the 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3 multiplication of 3, 4, 5. What are the previous values are there, and along with that I need to hold this value also. I need to hold this value also. Now then we have to enter equal to. When we click on equal to, it should take all this. It should take all this. And then it should identify what is the operator has been clicked on it. What is the operator has been clicked on it. It needs to be identified. Now, for this one, we need to understand how to store these values. How to store these values. Basically, when we click on an operator, what should happen? If I'm clicking on this operator should be storing somewhere, right? When I click on this operator should be storing somewhere else, and it should take a current operator. If I entered again, if I enter here plus 1, 2, 3 multiplication of 3, 4, 5 and plus 7, 8, 9 divided, right? And then 4, 5, 6 percentage. Whatever the numbers I'm entering it should take everything. It should take everything. Then finally it should give me the equal to. Minus if I give 7, 8, 9, and then if I give percentage, and if I say 19, or if I say 20, then final value it should give. Now what is happening here? We have some list of numbers here. We have a list of numbers. I need to store a current operator and the previous operator. Previous operator between the which numbers, and current operator is between the which numbers, right? And everything I need to store these values. I need to store these values. Okay, before we understand this, we need to understand some attributes, which is a list attribute, we have to understand. So for today only we are going to see how to handle the numbers. In the next session, we will see how to handle the operators. Okay, because before knowing this, how to handle the operators, we need to learn few things. Okay, any questions before I move on to handle the numbers, concatenation? Anything? Don't think about the operator right now, just think about the numbers, because to know the operators, we need to learn something else. Any questions? Okay, so let's move on. Okay. Lightning carousel. So lightning carousel is a collection of images that are displayed one at a time. Now, yesterday we have seen how to display image, right? How to pull the image from the static resource.
Image SRC is equals to
Image attribute. We have a image attribute. Using the image attribute, we can display. But that is what will happen on top of the component it is going to display. Okay, but I need some images should be displayed on the component level, right? For that, we are going to use carousel. Lightning colon carousel. So this is a collection of images that are displayed at one time. One at a time. So it is basically there are two types of carousel. One is a basic carousel. If you have multiple images, right? Here you have a multiple images, and here you have a 3 dots. So what will happen? The image should be scrolled automatically. Whatever the first image, it should show here, and automatically it should be scrolled, and the second image should be displayed, and the third image should be displayed. So those are the carousel. Okay, the basic carousel, the auto scrolling will be happen. And the next one is without auto scroll. That means if you click on this button, then only the image will be moved. If you click on this button, then only the image will be displayed. Now, in order to make this, what type of a carousel, whether you want a auto scrolling or you wanted basic one or without scrolling, everything will be decided based on the attribute that sits into the carousel. So first attribute is disable auto refresh. So disable auto refresh, by default, it is a false. If it is a false, so basically what it does, it specifies whether the carousel should be stop looping. That means auto scrolling should happen or not. So it should refresh. That means after reaching the third image, it should refresh and come back to the first image. If you want that things to be happen, then you can use the disable auto refresh. Then the next one, disable auto scroll. So disable auto scroll is automatically, do you wanted to scroll that first and then second and the third one? For each scrolling, there is a time period, there is a duration. So by default, the duration is 5 seconds. But if you want a more, then you have to use the attribute called scroll duration. By using the scroll duration, you can specify the time, whether you wanted 2 seconds, 1 second, 5 seconds, right? So by default, it is a 5 seconds. If you want a less, you can use the scroll duration equal to 1 second. So this is the carousel. Let's go ahead and implement. So file, new, lightning component. Let's see. Carousel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this into the lightning layout, because if I place the image, it will be all of my page is going to display the image. I don't want entire page to be displayed the image. So what I'm going to use, lightning colon layout Now within this, we have a, definitely I need a multiple rows. Equal to true. And then within this lightning layout item size equal to 4. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to display the images, right? So carousel is just defines whether you want a auto refresh or not. Lightning column carousel, and we have an attribute called disable auto refresh. Default false, let's keep the false. And then we have another one, disable auto scroll. Auto scroll equal to false. Now what it does, it is basically defines whether you want a auto refresh or not. Now I'm going to use this component. Okay, C column. Carousel. So let's refresh. Nothing is displaying here because this, whatever we are using, this is a parent. This is parent. It does not have any attribute to include a image. It does not have any attribute to include a image. It is just a header part. It is just header part. But within this, we have a child component which is called carousel image. So this one, where we can specify the image that needs to be displayed within the lightning colon carousel. So that means we have to include this carousel image within the parent lightning component called lightning colon carousel. So first you have to declare the carousel, and then within the carousel image, and then by using this we can specify the images. You can take a static resource image, you can take a Salesforce URL image, any images that you wanted to display. And we can specify maximum 5 images, that's what Salesforce says. But if you feel that there is more images that we can fit it, you can go ahead and use it, but check the performance at the back end. So the images are displayed in the order how we are going to define here. So what are the first images here? So it will display the first image. And what are the second image? So the order, the way of the order, how we are going to declare all the images, same way it is going to display all the images in the scrolling. And the attributes are SRC, where we need to give the image URL, and the header, in case if you wanted to display the text below the image, and description, in case if you wanted to display any description below the what are the text below the header. If you wanted to display any description, you can use the description. Alternative text, in case if the image is not working, in that case, if you wanted to show any alternate text, then you can use that. So those are the one. Let's go ahead and use. So what I'm going to use is lightning colon
Carousel image. Swapna, can we use image also here?
image is on the top. Yes, you can use it, but let's see. Just wait. So here image. So within this we have a attribute called SRC. For example, SRC, I wanted to place an image. So this is the image. Directly I will take directly I will take the image. Okay, this is directly I am pulling it from the Google. Now header equal to, let's say it is the first card, and then below that I wanted to display the description equal to, let's say first card description. Okay, then alternative text. Description. Okay, that's it. Now let's see this, how it is going to display. Refresh. Right, this is one image, it is displaying it. One image, it is displaying it. It is displaying it. One image. Now here you see there is a one thing which is came as, if you stop it, the scrolling will be automatically stopped. So this, whatever the button is there, it will automatically added by the lightning component. Now this is directly I am pulling the image from URL. For example, if I have in the static resource. So let's go to the static resource. So static resource, let's go here. Let's take the Dreamforce. So Dreamforce, where is the comp? Okay, the next one which I wanted to display, Dreamforce. So let's copy this carousel image. Instead of a URL, I wanted to call static resource. In order to call the static resource, curly braces exclamation dollar resource dot, let's use string, let's say lightning layout item. Let's say, let's go to here. So now it is displaying the two images. So by default, auto scrolling is happening. By default, auto scrolling is happening. I'm not clicking on anything. Because disable auto refresh is false, disable auto scroll is false. Every 5 seconds, the page gets changed. Every 5 seconds, the page gets changed. If you say here stop, it will stop. Okay, so for example, in static resource, instead of here you have a JPG or PNG you have. For example, let's assume that you are uploading a zip file. There is a number of images which are placed inside the zip file. Now let's go ahead, let's see. Now I have a multiple images in this, right? I have multiple images, image 1, carbon, CDCA logo, multiple images are there. Now what I'll do is I'll convert these images into the zip file. Perfect, so I'll use images zip. Now, if I open this images zip, within this, there is a folder images. Within this, we have all the images. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the zip file here. Images, zip, choose file, upload image zip. Then go ahead, public. Let's click on save. Now it is updated. Now how to use? Now it is a zip file. It is not a JPG file. It is not a PNG file. If it is a zip file, then how can I call what are the images that sits inside the zip file? So first thing is that you need to call this image, whatever the name of this static resource is there, call that. Then go for plus, and in the single quotes, whatever the folder is there, you have within this image zip, you have an image folder, right? You have a images folder here. Within this image folders, you have a carbon. Now what I'll do is /images/carbon.png. Carbon properties PNG. So I'll use carbon.png. So basically what I'm doing, I'm going inside the zip file. Within that, I have a folder called images. Inside the images, I have one of the image I'm pulling here. Let's say, let's click on the refresh. Okay, now 3 images are came. The first one is from the URL, second one is static resource, PNG file, and the third one is the zip file. From the zip file, I am showing this image. So whenever it comes into the last, automatically the refresh is happening to the first and second, right? So if I wanted to call another image, you can call another image. So instead of a carbon, I wanted to use, let's take a CDCA. Control S. Now here I'm going to take 6. Let's refresh. Okay. So what happened? It's not. Here it is. Okay. Why there is so much gap? Because one of the images height is very high. One of the image height is very high. Right? This image height is very high. And what I have to do is I have to use image height. Okay, image height is to let me reduce this also. Okay, so I'm going to use this max width and height. So that is for image. Wherever the image is there, all the images should be applied that. So what I'm going to use standard tag called img. Then I apply max width.
Swapna, if
Yeah.
standard the tag, if anywhere that is there, we have to put dot this space standard tag name. Am I correct?
Yeah, dot this space, whatever the tag name is there, the tag name.
Whether it is a inner component or outer component,
Yes.
we have to use the same.
Yes, there is a no difference inner or outer. Okay,
Thanks,
if you wanted to move this image right, center, you can make all those changes into this styling. So basically, this is the use of a carousel. Okay, so if you go to the Salesforce, when you go to the setup, okay, if you go to the setup, it has a different way of carousel. So when you go here, see here 3 dots are, it is displaying it, but it is not auto rotation. It's not auto rotation. Now you have to rotate it. You have to manually click on this and rotate it. You have to manually click on this, rotate it. But what Salesforce did here, Salesforce did not use the carousel image. They have used carousel page, they have used the carousel, and within that, they have used the each card. So this is a one lightning card. This is not an image. This is a card. So on outer side, it is a carousel. In outer side, it is a carousel. Within that, they have used the lightning card. This is one lightning card. And the next one is another lightning card. This is another lightning card. And this is another lightning card. Within this lightning card, they have not used the image. They have not used the image. It is a different. It is totally different. They have used, this is article, right? So in this article, I have it on top, whatever the image is there. Again, that card is divided into the 2 rows. Again, the card is divided into the 2 rows. First row is image, and whatever the second row is there. Second row is they are adding the information. They are adding the information. Then they are adding the buttons also. There is a button is also available, right? If you click on a join now, get started, what will happen? It will be redirected. It will be redirected. Now, in our case, whenever I click on this image, I wanted to redirect something, some place. In case if you wanted to redirect, you can apply here also. So we have another attribute called HREF. Using this HREF, what you can do is you can directly go to the some page like a www.salesforce.com. Right? So if you refresh, and if you click on this, what will happen? It will be redirected to the salesforce.com. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay. So what did we learn so far?
We have seen
Aura handler,
Hmm.
standard events,
Carousel image. Now the questions, how to pull the data on loading of the component.
init function we have to use.
Aura handler init.
Name in.
And how to declare a local ID?
Aura ID.
Aura ID.
Alrighty. This is
So where does the declaration happens? In the component?
component?
Component.
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 How to display multiple images in Aura component?
Carousel.
Carousel.
Using Lightning carousel.
Lightning carousel.
How to find a component in JavaScript?
Component.find.
Component.find.
Oh, function of component.
Okay. Implement require homework is implement a lightning component. So it is divided into the three, again, this layout is divided into the three sections. And the first one has a 2 images. You can take any image, and second one has a 2 images, and the third one has a 1 image. Everything is displaying in single row. In one row, it is displaying the total 5 images. This is one, and this is another one, and this is another one. Any questions on this? Okay. Another requirement is find date of birth based on age. That means you have a age and date of birth, 2 fields are there. Okay. Do not take this mandatory. Age, date of birth, 2 are there. Whenever you enter age here, whenever you enter the age, for example, enter the age here 20, right? Immediately the date of birth should be displayed. Assume that today is your day, your birthday. Okay. Today you are turning into the 20th or 30th, whatever it is. 30th birthday. Today is your 30th birthday. And from today, you need to find out, because today yours is birthday. Today is your birthday. So you need to find out if it is your birthday is today, how to get the date of birth, actual date of birth.
Okay, Swapna.
Okay. So this is a trial head. I'm bringing in the chart. Okay, that's all for today's session.